Arash,
Jen.
guess what?
What? What is it?
The first time ever we have had a repeat guest.
We're that far along where we can do repeat guests?
We're going to make it that way.
That's amazing.
Yeah. I've already lost track of how many episodes, but we're going back to our very beginning and we're interviewing Matt Berseth, our CIO and co-founder of NLP Logix.
Yeah, and just to be clear, we should be clear, full disclosure, both of us work at NLP Logix.
Correct.
And you're my boss once we get into that room.
Correct.
Otherwise.
You like to pretend you're the boss here.
Yes, that's right.
I know.
And Matt is your boss. So in order for us to ask the questions, I have to write them down to you. You approve them, and then you send them to Matt for his approval, and then it all comes back, and then I can finally ask the question.
Except you don't follow rules, Arash. So.
Right. Well, I learned from the best.
Yeah.
Learn from the best.
That's right. They say you teach all of your employees how to do all the wrong stuff,
That's
right?
Perfect.
Great.
I went back and I listened to our first interview with Matt Berseth, and you said something profound that I think was completely missed.
Oh, boy.
You said, Arash, I'm a nosy person, and I really like to dig in.
Yeah, it's true.
You know, I guess I thought that
that's
was funny.
Gross. Oh, that's so gross. Well done for bringing that back almost a year later.
Other than that, the podcast was okay.
Well, I'm excited to kind of put Matt in the hot seat. I want to get some answers today. I want some predictions from Matt. I think Matt's always the smartest
that's rare.
person.
People making predictions on AI.
Yeah, I know.
It's a rare thing.
It totally is.
Okay.
But I always think Matt is the smartest person in the room, no matter what room he is in. Yes, Arash, even if you're there.
I agree. I agree. Unless we're talking about cooking baked beans or something.
I don't know. He might have a good recipe.
Let's ask him.
All right, you want to?
Yeah.
Matt, baked beans.
Out of a can.
And do you have regret after you eat them, or never?
Never. No. Don't ask me to cook.
Okay, I won't ask you. We did just have Thanksgiving, though. Did we talk about Thanksgiving a little bit? What do you do for Thanksgiving?
Yeah, I did cook for Thanksgiving. Yeah, so my Thanksgiving story is the same every year, which is I like turkey, I like ham, but I need something a little different. So each year I try to do something a little different.
So this year?
This year it was a sous vide lamb.
Oh, nice.
Yep.
Well done.
Yes. And it was good. Yeah.
So a whole boneless.
Boneless, butterflied, like leg of lamb.
I love that Matt said, "Don't ask me to cook," and then he said, "I made a sous vide lamb."
Yeah. The trick with the sous vide is it's not. I feel like it's actually the easiest thing you can do.
But it sounds so fancy.
It sounds fancy.
Yep,
it sounds very fancy.
Did you put butter and herbs in the bag?
Butter and herbs.
Nicely
and then
done.
Finished on the cast iron, and it's fun to do. I thought it tastes pretty good.
Okay, that sounds good.
Do you do the traditional sides though with it?
Well, I tell you, so we have my parents come, my wife Katie's parents come, and then this year we had all my two sisters and all their kids. So everybody's grown, so everybody brought. So we had tons of sides, like 2 different types of sweet potatoes, like 5 trays of mashed potatoes. We had everything, cranberries, everything. So it was good.
Are the cranberries out of a can?
They are. Those are. I love the cranberries.
Do you want?
Okay, look, I do too.
Gelatin or with the berries?
Gelatin.
All right, old school.
I'm not gonna lie.
You like it?
I do love the gelatin canned cranberries, but I also will always make homemade for Thanksgiving. It's just, I have my mom's recipe. It is foolproof. It's delicious. Everybody loves it. There will be no cans of cranberry sauce at my Thanksgiving.
So my brother-in-law did one interesting this year. It was cranberries, like I guess chopped, jalapenos chopped.
Nice.
And
that sounds good.
Yeah.
And like a sour, a cream cheese.
Oh.
Yes.
And it was like a dip.
Oh.
It was yes.
Okay.
It was actually really good.
That sounds delicious.
So did you put it on the turkey, or is it a separate
No, it's
dip?
just like a cracker kind of a deal.
Can we just talk about food for the rest of the
I don't know
podcast?
if
Because I
anybody's
may be
picking up
hungry.
the rumbling in my stomach. I said when I walked in, I'm hungry. it's going to be gurgling the whole podcast, and we're talking about it's just grrr.
And do you have lunch today, and what are you eating?
Yeah. Where are we going?
Well, Matt, this must have been a pretty important holiday for you. If we track back to our first episode, I think we recorded in January of this year. You
crazy.
had just received some pretty devastating and life-changing news. So this was the first holiday you were healthy for, and you didn't have this hanging over your head this year, right?
Yes.
So if you will share a little bit, since I'm a digger, I would. The visual, I guess.
Yeah, well, pull up your nose, Matt.
Share with us what you've been through over the past almost a year now.
Yes. So it was definitely an interesting year. So I'll go back actually just over 12 months ago. So I turned 45 last November, and then turned 45. Everybody knows you got to go in for the dreaded colonoscopy. But I actually, my twist on this is I feel actually very fortunate. So everybody knows my business partner, Ted, the CEO. He's a few years older than me, but I got to, not that many years older than me, Ted, not just a couple, but when Ted, Ted is he's very open about everything. But when he was, when it was time for him to get his colonoscopy, he was telling me about it, and he's just like, gosh, you hear it's this big deal, it's this and that. Not really a big deal at all. The night before you got to do some stuff, and then you have the procedure, and then you're through it, no big deal. And I only say that because I don't think I'm the type of person that I would have pushed off. I'll do it next year. I'll do it next year. I'll do it when it's convenient. And then before you know, you're 50 or something, and you haven't done it. And so because of Ted, literally, I went in for my checkup on my 45th birthday, and I'm like, I know what you're going to tell me. Let's get this thing scheduled. When can I do it? I'm going to do it as quick as I can. Let's just go. And then so 2 days after Christmas last year, I went in and had my scope, and I was coming out of twilight. And I remember the doctor, he said, we pulled a couple polyps, and one was kind of interesting, but we'll send it to pathology. Shouldn't be a big deal. And then last New Year's Eve at about 10 a.m., I was at work in our Tesla conference room, and I got a call from the doc, and he said, yeah, that interesting polyp, that was cancer. So he said, you're gonna have to buckle up this year. He said, you're gonna have a tough start. You're gonna have a tough year, is what he said.
What went through your heart and mind? Did it register?
Oh,
at that moment?
So I'll tell you what I did that day is I walked out of the office.
Are you allowed to do that?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's one of those things. I look back at the day. What I remember doing, I remember walking out of the office, calling my wife at like 10:05, and she's like, "Oh, you're coming home early."
Oh man.
And I said, "Yeah, crazy thing. I got cancer."
Yeah.
And then, for some reason, I had already made a commitment to with Ben to get Ben a new cell phone. So I actually went to Verizon and like tried to negotiate a cell phone with Ben. I'm sure if you asked Ben about that, he would say, "Yeah, you weren't quite all there."
Because you got a bad deal.
Yeah, I got a bad deal. Yes. And then
when can you negotiate cell phones?
It was I can't remember what was going on there. But then I got home, and I remember just like sitting on the couch, just like, because at that time, like, you don't know how bad it is. Like, you don't know cancer has a lot of stages. I know nothing about cancer. Even now, I would say I don't know very much at all. But you hope it's treatable and it, all that stuff. But at that time, I didn't know. So I think I called. I called Ted, and then and then it's just like, don't really know what's going on. So at that point, it's really tough because you got something bad, but you can't really find out how bad for at least a couple of weeks. And so what I did is I called. Actually, what was really kind of neat is my primary care. He saw that I had this diagnosis, like it came through the chart. And on New Year's Eve on that day, he called me.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Yep. And he's like, hey, I just saw something come through. He's like, why don't we talk a little bit? And then he kind of took me through, you know, you're going to have to do surgery. And then based on the pathology of that, that'll stage it. And then that'll set into motion kind of what you're going to have to do this year.
So it's not until after surgery where they know how bad it is.
You know, and I hesitate to kind of second guess this stuff. I think you could do it other ways. That's not the way I did it. So for me, I was, you know, I knew I had cancer and I knew it was in my body and I wanted it the heck out. And so I was really happy to like, let's do, so the sequence of events is do an MRI to kind of see, can we see it in other organs or what are we dealing with? And then after that, then it was cut it out, take it, send it to pathology, they do the staging, and then they take some of the lymph nodes with the surgery. So so we did that. So December 31st, I was diagnosed. I saw my primary care like January 2nd, had the MRI right on the next week. And then on the 16th is when I did like a surgery. It was I can't tell you how many holes they cut in me. I still look at my stomach and I just see scars. I'm not sure how many they actually did, but anyway, yeah, they what do they call it? I don't know what they call it, but they basically rearranged my guts. That's kind of how I would explain it. Took out some stuff. Importantly, they take out the lymph nodes and then they send that to pathology. And then what they were looking at is, as I understand it, they take the polyp out and then they want to check to see if there's any cancerous cells in the wall.
Okay.
And then they go and they look at the lymph node.
Okay.
And I guess that's more or less no one's going to call in since we're recording this, but someone's going to say, no, that's totally wrong. But that's how it was described to me. And so the best case I was hoping for is they would say, we cut it out. There was nothing in the lymph node and there was nothing left in the wall and you're done. You know, heal up, go home, you're done. And that wasn't the case. So it was in the lymph node, which is not a good place for it because that's how it spreads around the body.
Right.
Yep. So that sets it at stage 3. Stage 3, and then I think it was in 4 lymph nodes. So that's like stage 3 plus, I guess.
Oh, wow.
Yep. And then that put me on the trajectory. So that was January 16th. I probably found out February, the staging of it from the oncologist. And then February 17th, I think. 14th was a Friday, I think. 17th was my first day of chemo. And so I did 4 rounds of chemo, which I think everybody does chemo differently, but my treatment was basically go in for what they call an infusion. So they put a port in my body to put the drugs in me, and then like you go through this 5-hour infusion where you just.
So while you're this process, what's going on at work? What's going on at family?
Yeah, where's your head at?
How are you dealing with it emotionally? Are you seeing a therapist?
Yeah. No,
were you very practical with it?
Oh, you should be asking maybe my wife some of these questions. You probably could give it a better answer. I guess for me, was I practical? I was pretty terrified of like, before I found out the staging, I was really like, you know, is it actually the most terrifying part was the time between knowing it's stage 3, which is they've done the pathology and it's in the lymph nodes. And then I went back in for more MRIs so they could look more detailed at other organs. The time between knowing it's stage 3 plus at least, because it could be stage 4, and getting the results back on the MRI. The longest morning of my life was that morning going into the reading of the MRI, because that's where you're going to find out, is it stage 4 or is it stage 3, right? So that was hard. Once I was through that, then I think it was more, okay, it's stage 3. Let's do the chemicals.
You have a plan.
We got a plan. There's like a timeline.
Yeah.
So I know stage 4 is bad, but does that mean death is impending? What's if you go from stage 3 plus to stage 4? What's the difference? If you
It's a good question. I don't. I mean, I'm sure it's different depending on areas and stuff. I think it would be a lot
It's a bigger deal.
more
Clearly.
treatment.
Okay.
But I honestly, I don't know. All I know for the stage 3 was it was in those 4 lymph nodes, which wasn't great. But then it, through the regimen to chemo and radiation, it was, hopefully taken care of. Yeah.
So Arash was asking where your mental state was. And obviously your head is going to be fully in the game of getting better and following your treatment plan.
Mm-hmm.
Did you feel like you went into a cave a little bit? And when you came out, like hibernation, if you will, and when you came out, the world had drastically changed, at least the landscape of technology and the rate in which AI has evolved over the past, 6-9 months, as long as you were in treatment.
Mm-hmm.
What did you experience when you came back after your treatment?
Yeah, that's a good question. I definitely felt like I was in a cave from the standpoint of, like basically I was a dormant person. Like I was spending a lot of time laying down, whether I was sleeping or not. And it's not like I wasn't like consuming information because, kind of the brain doesn't work so great either. So it's kind of like this void period. I was at work every other week physically.
Right.
But I'm not sure how much I was taking in, and retaining. So yeah, it was interesting. I think that in some regards, things move fast. Like you kind of wake up from hibernation and you see the incredible speed that technology is moving, right? And then you always ask the question: are we moving fast? And where are we at? Are we moving fast enough?
But did you care? Like, did you have those moments where you think nothing matters? Like, or like what? Or here are the things that matters. What I mean, did you have that moment where you go, it's family, it's relationships. It's Where did your values change?
Yeah,
in the sense of how you weighted the important things in life.
Yeah, I think the way I would say that is, I think that, and I always think this is crazy to say, I always got to make sure I say it right. I feel like I am happier today than I was a year ago today. A year ago today, I didn't know that, I had cancer, right? And here I am today knowing that it could come back or it could move around or whatever. But I still think that today I'm happier because I think I have a perspective that I didn't have a year ago, which was there's, the things that seem like a really big deal, maybe they're not such a big deal. And maybe the things that don't seem like a big deal actually are pretty important. And I definitely didn't have that perspective 12 months ago. So I feel like it's a weird thing. And I got to say, anytime I get like, I won't say like nervous, but maybe anxious or something, I was like, we've done cancer, right? Like I think whatever this thing is, probably it's not as big of a deal as you might think it is. Yeah. So yeah.
How has it changed you as a business owner? I mean, yes, having that example of, we're going to go through some stressful times at work and it's not cancer, we can get through this. But how has it changed how you operate at work and also what you expect of your teams?
Yeah. I mean, I think that I probably really need, like, to give a really great answer to that, I think I probably need a couple more years to really see, like, to get perspective. But I can tell you some of the things that lessons like I kind of relearned, which I think, some of these, but you relearn them. And that is, the organization is the thing, so NLP Logix, that is its own entity. It has its own dynamics. And, I'll be honest with you, for me, it was humbling in saying, I was hibernating for 7 months, right?
Yeah.
And everything, momentum carries, teams do amazing things, people step up, everything goes and makes progress. And it's awesome to see, honestly. So as a business owner, it's like, that's awesome to see the organization has its own ideas, and it's, it's moving on in ways that are amazing, right? So from a business owner standpoint, you'd love to see that, right? As an individual, right, it's pretty humbling at times.
Yeah.
Because, wow, like all these, you make all this progress, do all these amazing things, and when I'm hibernating, I'm not exactly a piece of it. So.
Did you feel a little
So you felt
self-conscious? Maybe left out, self-conscious, maybe question your own skills and ability when you came back?
I guess not left out. I can't, I wouldn't describe it as left out, because I think as the business owner, I want the best for the company and the people and the customers, right? And with or without me, that doesn't come into my mind as an equation part of it, right? With or without me, I don't care. I want the best for our people and our customers. I think it's just understanding that, you're a piece, right? Like, my role is just a piece, one of many roles in the company.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of important roles we have. We have a lot of important team members doing great things. So so not left out, but maybe, just another perspective on what I bring to the company.
That was going to be my next question. Did you come back with a new purpose and a new mission, redefine your role? Because truth be told, you have, obviously, we've seen a difference in you since you have been back. And we see somebody who's exceptionally motivated, and you want to keep up with the rate of change. And so I feel like you have redefined some of your focal points. Mm-hmm. But I want to hear from you.
You should hear what they say behind your back.
Check the bathroom walls. Yeah. I think that is another thing that is in the works right now. So I look at, I think, I came out of hibernation, we'll call it August. I would say I described it, I'm still burning off the effects of the chemicals, right?
Sure, yeah.
So it's not, I don't feel like I'm 100% in ways that I want to be. But, I think that if there is something that I am really excited about doing, it is finding the ways, I kind of look at the AI landscape, especially with our business, as, we just turned 14.
Mm-hmm.
So I was describing it like this, like for 12 years, to use AI, you had to make it. If you didn't make it, you weren't quote unquote real. You're not doing it, whatever. And so for 12 years, like, certain teams at our company, we were focused on making AI. And it's hard, challenging, feels like a research project. It's hard to get to the promised land. It was hard. It was a lot of fun as well. Now I get excited at looking at the ways that we can leverage and use AI for us internally and for our customers. And it's, to me, that's not a make it only story. That is a story where it is taking some of these products, it is using it, it is enabling your customers, it's enabling your own workforce. And, we've seen it, Jen, we were just talking, the rate of change of these products is tremendous. They're moving faster. The product teams are probably moving faster than their customers are.
Yeah.
And how do you deal with that? How do you stay on top and making sure your teams are being as efficient as possible? That's what I'm actually excited about right now, is this, we've got lots of talent at Logix that will always be making AI, but I get really excited about this, taking it and how do you take it and shape it and use it in the organization.
Why is that more exciting?
Yeah, one for me is, I think that it was something that, if I go back, I think, ChatGPT just turned 3. So 3 years and a day ago, I would have said, this is not a possible future. Like, we're not going to get to a future. This is me 3 years ago. I would have said this. We're not going to get.
You would say ChatGPT is not possible.
Yes, I would say ChatGPT is not possible. And let me
Why?
just okay. So 3 years ago,
How could you, Matt?
yeah, right, yeah, and you guys are gonna ask for my predictions
I
for
don't
next
think you
year.
can predict. No, this is not going to work.
Maybe we should wrap this up right now.
Andy, kill the podcast.
That's funny. But the game changer to me is this having a one model or a one product. I'll just take ChatGPT, but you could take any of the ones that everyone's using. And this one product is helping me with my lamb recipe, right? It is helping my daughter do her homework, her freshman homework, right? It is in the enterprise. It's helping our teams generate, if it's, taking a meeting transcript and creating a risk and a raid log for our PMO, if it's helping create, helping with development tasks, if it's troubleshooting. I mean, it is this one product that is doing all of these things now. And it's something that, my kids are using it, my parents are using it, and everyone at work is using it. And I didn't think that was possible 3 years ago. That to me is amazing.
Yeah. You know what it can't do though? Role play. I've tried to do role play with it.
Really?
Yeah, it cannot stick to the scene. It can't stick to the
That's
situation.
unfortunate. That
Yeah,
could be
at least
fun.
conversationally.
It's also good to know.
Yeah.
'Cause
Do you guys want to hear me do role play with it?
Not really.
So, what are you wearing, ChatGPT? No, kidding. That's not what.
So while we get what you didn't believe in, now you're a believer. Let's make some predictions. What is 2026 going to bring?
No, I'm not ready for that.
Why?
Hold on. I want to talk about this, but
We're taking the long way there.
can I?
Ugh,
Because I
all
want
right.
to talk about people like Hinton and LeCun, who I think we have conference rooms. I mean,
Named
like,
after
that's
them.
a big deal. I
Yeah.
mean, do they know about this? We should send them.
We should tell them.
We've hit them on Twitter. I
Okay,
think.
okay.
Yeah,
Okay, good.
they're like one of many.
yeah, exactly.
But they're making these predictions of how it will be a game changer, and you felt like that technology isn't feasible. I still want to know where you thought the gap was, where you felt that,
That's a good point.
where you thought, hey, we can do this sort of basic AI,
Mm-hmm.
but to get to the level of ChatGPT, there's clearly a chasm there.
Yeah, the gap.
Where did you feel like the gap was?
The gap was, in my mind, and I'd even go back to that time period. I actually think if you had LeCun and Hinton, that they would have said the same thing. That ChatGPT, as we think of it today, if I would have described it in the way I just described it with my parents and my daughter and helping me with Lamb, that 3 years and a day ago, they would have said, no, that's not
crazy
not coming
talk.
anytime soon.
Yeah.
Yes. So the gap that was there was, the systems we were creating were so narrow. The AI systems we were creating, it was one task that we were really focused on. Do this one thing, do it well. If it was, we've talked about some of the work we've done of, in healthcare, read this MRI and highlight the areas of interest or something. Like that is a single model that takes one input, which is an MRI, and it is doing one thing, which is probably identifying if it's a particular type of anomaly. It's very narrow and focused in these one areas.
Which means the data is part of that gap then. You're looking at, we're training a model on the entire
Yeah.
internet?
Yeah, and it's doing something useful. I mean, come on. Like that
Yeah.
to me sounded kind of crazy, So I didn't that to me is a gap. Like, yeah, because we've had the internet data for a long time. Like
Right.
Yeah.
It's not like I'll tell you this, the reason why I would also say it is so surprising is because the core model that's used, the transformer architecture, Google created that and opened it to the world, right? If they understood the value that could be created that, and this is 2016, 2017, if they would understand that value, there's no way.
But you're going to be more detailed with me. What do you mean they created the infrastructure?
Well, no, the model architecture, the transformer, that was
That's a
from
Google.
some Google research that they published openly.
Okay.
Okay, and then that was 2016, 2017. I think the paper, you have to check me on it, is Attention is All You Need is what it was called. But if they, you iterate on that from 2017 to 2022, so that's 5 years, right? And that's the ChatGPT moment. If Google foresaw that building on top of those transformers would get you to what ChatGPT or OpenAI created, they would never have put that in the public domain. That's way too valuable, right? That's what I'm going back to. That's why I don't think even people like Hinton or LeCun would have really saw that this was something that was possible.
So you're in league with the experts.
You can put me up there with them.
No, that's perfect. Nice work, man.
Very
you see how I did that, right?
They would agree with me.
Yeah.
So
Don't
my big question, and this is going into the predictions, because I really feel for, and this is, we feel as an organization, we really feel for the customers. We're seeing them go, what do we do? How do we harness this? How do we do it quickly? How much money should we be investing? Do we hire specialized people? Do we hire prompt engineers? Do we hire data scientists? Do we hire this next level software engineering? So there's so many questions, and it feels like you have a lot of people claiming to be experts.
Yeah, it's to me, we were saying this earlier, I feel like you have a lot of
You call them snake oil salesmen?
yes, that's the word. Here's the cure-all, now with AI plus, AI, whatever. And none of it, it's like we have this amazing technology, and along with that comes this showmanship. And some of the people who are a part of the showmanship are experts in, like Sam Altman, he's a showman in his own way. So is the founder of NVIDIA, Elon Musk. Like they have powerful technologies, but they are also really good at marketing. But then you have the people who are just the showmen with no substance, and it is hard to distinguish what is real, what is not right now.
So therefore, how can you ever put together your AI strategy playbook? And it feels like NLP Logix is trying to be that trusted advisor right now. No snake oil salesmanship here. It's very much, are you saying 2026 is the year of AI education? Because I know we've been there before.
You're leading the witness, Jen.
I know.
You're leading the witness.
do it all the time. But is it education? Is it governance? Is it access to data? Where's 2026 in Matt's world?
I think, it's hard to say. It's hard to say no to anything you just said there. But I would say, I think and I look at, every organization, every enterprise is, solving different problems at different levels of maturity, at different levels of technical expertise. But I think, if there was one piece of advice, I think that I would try to give most broadly, that I think would be most broadly applicable. I think for 2026, as part of your AI strategy, I would say let's look at ways to enable your workforce, every desktop, to make better use of AI. And I think there's 10 to 20% efficiency gains if you started at the most broad and general. And that is, Jen, you had talked about, are we all prompt engineers? Aren't we all kind of prompt engineers?
I would say.
How many prompts are we writing a day,
Mm-hmm.
And what would some focused training and expertise and how do you enable that and get that best practice? So two people sitting across from each other, one has great prompts and they got a great, they got a folder on their desktop that's called prompts, and it has their 15 best prompts. Like, how do you get that across the departments and used
throughout the whole organization?
Throughout the whole organization. That's that to me is the thing is how do you diffuse, AI is out there and everywhere, but how do you get it everywhere in your organization used correctly? And you have to have the governance and all that stuff. But how do you get everybody using it and adopting it and so you can see some of those efficiency gains. I really think that, I don't think that'll be like when we look at 2026, are you going to say it's about AI for the desktop? I highly doubt that. But I think it is the one thing that most organizations could put a plan in place today to execute on early in 2026 and get some early returns that can compound.
What does a plan mean?
That feels achievable. Oh, I've got it.
You've got the plan already?
I've got the plan.
Okay, because it sounds to me, what Matt just said is, let me put words in your mouth, because I'm good at that. You pretty much said, use it as your basic assistant. Use it as your assistant for everyday life, work life.
I think you took some liberties there, but...
Yeah, I do that.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, so what's your plan?
I think what I heard Matt say, and let me try not to put words in your mouth, Matt. Jump in here. I think we have to start by understanding what the AI, the fluent AI folks, the champions, are doing at the most basic level, these universal ways of working. How are they leveraging AI, your ChatGPTs, your Microsoft Copilot? How are they using it to make email correspondence and Teams correspondence more efficient? How are they recapping their meetings and staying up on their to-dos? We have basic administrative burden on a daily basis. And we probably spend between 1 to 2 hours a day on these basic administrative burdens. Yes, I said it. They are burdensome because it takes away from the fun parts of our jobs where we get to use our brain more. So if we're focusing on how the AI fluent are using these tools, then it's just a matter of creating a training plan. Capture the goodness, get it documented, and then start to roll out the training and change management plan. So it's not a technology, here's how you have to use it. It's really, I go back to education, and it's an education and change management plan that companies should be focused on first. Did I put words in your mouth?
No, I mean, I would agree. It's amazing to me. I feel like we're at this point where we have this amazing technology on your desktop and your browser. And it is, how do you get people using it? Because everybody's already focused on their daily activities and their tasks. And yes, it is change management. How do you get those tools integrated into these existing processes and workflows? And that to me is actually, if there is to me a more, I won't say bold, this doesn't even feel bold, but what I think 2026 and 2027, some of the changes I think are going to come.
We can only go up to the end of 2026, man.
That's it? Okay. I'll dial it in. But it kind of goes back to, I think about the Microsoft Copilot experience, which is, you're in Outlook or you're in Teams, and there's this pane that comes in that is, oh, by the way, I'm Copilot. And I'm kind of tacked on over here. Hey, Clippy, right? You guys remember
it's the Clippy.
Yeah.
It's the Clippy experience.
They tried so hard with Clippy.
They try right, Clip. Yes, I miss Clippy.
Yeah.
But it's this like tacked on experience, which I think is good for this year and next year. But I think that what you'll see is I really think some of the user interfaces we're used to, which are really human-led and Copilot assisted, tacked on, I think those are going to be flipped. And I would say, my example would be developers first is going to be, their version of like a Word document is a code editor where they write code, and they're called IDEs. It's kind of technical, but it's basically their version of Word where they pound in code all day. Those IDEs today are all created first and foremost for the human to write the code. And it's the same thing. You got this fly-in editor where a Copilot can say, hey, let me write some things for you. But I think the change in the interface, the paradigm is going to be, how do you get to a mode where the interfaces are not focused on human authored, but instead focused on almost human supervised and so like we talk about AI sometimes getting you started on third base, right? But when you open a Word document, you're starting at home plate and you need to do something to get to third base. Right. And then it's this copy paste. Everybody's doing this, right? Yep. But what are the editors where the interfaces that are created with the mindset of you're already on third base. You're getting input from this agent, input from this tool, and how do you adjudicate those starting points to create your final output? which I feel like is very different, than what we have today.
Yeah, that's exactly why I have the design team working on, there's this concept of UX to AX, really shifting from that user experience where it's a human that's interacting with software. And that's been the case for how many years now? Now you have humans interacting with artificial intelligence, and we have to let the artificial intelligence one day become the driver, and we're in the passenger seat. Right now we're still the driver. But it's a whole different user experience to allow AI to do the main driving, and we're just that passenger.
That's exactly it. Yeah.
It's sort of what you're saying and what I'm hearing, it just calls to self-driving cars, because there's a world where you no longer need a steering wheel.
Yeah.
You no longer need your blinker lights. So what happens to the world of software interfaces? What happens to the world of cars when you don't need to drive at all?
And I don't know about you guys, but I feel behind. I'm so antsy and anxious about this, and it feels like nothing we do is fast enough. It feels like we all of a sudden have to, and we are, I mean, at NLP, we are redefining what our jobs are, because our jobs cannot stay the same. And I know there's this, I'm going to go like 17 different ways right now, and I haven't even had enough coffee.
You can have a sip.
There's this whole AI is going to take our jobs, but
AI is going to take our jobs.
Yeah, but it's taking our jobs as we know it. Yes, it's going to ideally get rid of the menial, mundane, boring tasks, which maybe there are some jobs where you just have the one task that needs to be done, and we don't need a human to do that anymore. They can go off and do bigger and better things. But AI is going to take our jobs as we know it. What's wrong with that? The only thing that I see is we are not equipped to figure out how to redefine our jobs, because when have we been in this position previously where we went, well, shit, everything that I do today is not going to be anything of what I do tomorrow. I still want that paycheck. Therefore, what am I? What do I do? How do I learn? Do I have to pick up new skills? Do I have to learn somebody else's job? I mean, I'm watching my whole department. I manage all of product, which is product managers, product designers who are turning into AX. I have product owners and product analysts. And all of my people are touching that SDLC and going, are we going to be needed? I have ChatGPT writing user stories today. I've got Figma Make designing comps with one sentence. How are my people going to be used? So I know if we're feeling it, everybody else is feeling this. And there's a lot of concern out there. But what are we doing about it? And I still go back to, can we just become AI fluent? And you said in our last podcast when we interviewed you, developing the intuition for AI. Feels like we got to go back to that foundation. Develop the intuition. When do you use it? When do you not? What are the tasks that you would like to remove from your job description? And do it. Find a way to do it. But don't keep it a secret. Create the training plan. Create the change management plan.
That's interesting. Well, no, I love what you're saying. What I'm thinking about is, if we don't know what it's going to evolve to, there isn't a change management plan you can really create, right? You can just make some assumptions. You can make some guesses. But like Matt, you can be terribly wrong about what's coming in the future. The thing that I do want to say, where I feel like we are in the stage of when search first came out, there were a lot of protocols about how you do a search. Do you remember that?
Yeah, plus,
put an and, put an or. There's all these different parameters of how to do a search until we came to the point where I can just like mash my hands on the keyboard and Google says, this is what you're looking for. And I go, yes, that's it. And so part of me wonders if we are spending too much time in this idea of the and the ors of how to do a Google search. And if that's going to be a quick sort of
I think it. Yeah, I do. I agree.
And we're on some level wasting our time on I think it's we're talking more than just prompting, but where is it after prompting? Because I mean,
that's where we have to make.
We have all.
Don't we have to make a bet? Don't we have to make a prediction and take a stance and go experiment and try. And if you fail,
Of course.
you learn.
Yeah.
You pick yourself up and you make another prediction.
Mm-hmm. The thing is, though, like when the prompt engineering name came out, like I was like, this felt too transient. Like this, no way. Like this seems silly. I agree with you. Like this feels like
a search engineer.
Yes. Like, yes. But on the flip side of that, like it's also, we're in this mode where, you know, a really flexible, powerful interface to communicate with software is natural language, you know, and it's kind of interesting that we have that, you know, like that's not what Google was. That's why there was all these, it's the semi-structured, well, put a plus if you really mean this and you over, but this, to me, it's just so powerful that you can have, that you can, and there's there's the semi-structure and the, you know, the best methods on how to create good prompts, high quality prompts and these things. And that'll change over time. But it is amazing to me how flexible and powerful this textual interface to software is. And that's actually the part, like that to me, it's like in some ways I look at the ChatGPT UI and I think, man, this thing is like built for a caveman. Why am I always copy pasting? I can't find these, like it seems like we have this really powerful piece of software underneath the covers, and we just haven't figured out how do we interact with this better.
100% agree with you.
Oh, I was going to say you got the answer.
I wish I
kind of figured this out.
I mean, I'm hearing when you listen to the news and you're listening to all the prophets of AI, and they're talking about which governments will get it and how will they use it, and I'm over here using it to write an email. There's a gap in my knowledge about how I can take this powerful technology and what I have access to, and actually make it useful to me. There is a fundamental gap between the power of this thing and how I'm using it.
Yeah.
It's great that we can use it. I use it for recipes too.
That's the sharing. And I think internally, one of the pieces of advice I think we should give our listeners, though, is people are really smart. And if you leave them to their own devices, they will figure this out. Mm-hmm. And then we're going to be amazed at how people are leveraging these tools. Mm-hmm. But we have to give them the platform, the safe place to be able to share what they do, how they've learned it. And then we can decide as an organization if we want to take it and run with it and get this worked into our daily processes and workflows. So we have the AI at work every Friday from 3:30 to 4:30.
Are you inviting everyone?
We're going to have a bigger Teams call. Okay. We have where we put one team member, they sign up. We're not forcing anybody. How are you using ChatGPT or Copilot today? Share with us. And this, I think, is how you are creating and showcasing your AI champions and also learning the innovative ways people are leveraging these tools in ways that we never even thought. Mm-hmm. Now we have to systematize how we're going to implement these types of usages. But I think organizations can just start there. That would be the words of wisdom I'd want to leave our listeners. It can be that basic. Just learn how your people are utilizing these tools. Is innovation will be hidden somewhere. You're going to be really surprised.
Mm-hmm. It's a really good point. I agree.
Oh, I agree too.
Let's ask LeCun and Hinton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Clearly they would agree with Matt.
Clearly.
So another topic, I don't know if you have any predictions on agentic AI. So when we were sitting down and talking with you almost a year ago, it was LLMs. Now we're hearing agentic frameworks, and we can have these autonomous agents. You just need the orchestrator, and then you can have agents that actually go and do a thing, and they can complete a workflow. They don't need the human necessarily to make the decisions. They can make the decisions as long as they have a place to go and do their research to get their questions answered. They're off and running. What's your stance? Is this real? Is this magic?
Yeah. So I think, probably not a great answer, but I think a little of both. I mean, I think that kind of like 2 years ago, every new piece of software was, Arash, like you said, AI enabled, AI plus with AI now has AI. I think now the new thing of snake oil is, hey, we got agents in the background. This is agentic, all that.
Yeah.
And so I think there's a certain amount of it that is kind of fluff. And from a technical standpoint, one of the things that we talk about at work is, if you have a discrete workflow where you do step A, then go to step B, and then to C, why would you build that using an agent where it's not discrete, where you don't know step A? You know after step A, you need to do step B. Why give an agent the opportunity to jump over step B like that? So I think what I mean by that is I think that you're probably seeing right now is you're probably seeing an overexcitement to build everything agents first, and every problem now is turned into a solution that agents can solve, even if it's not the best approach.
That's part of that snake oil salesman stuff. Isn't that maybe, would you say, slightly over-engineered?
Slightly over-engineered, overcomplicated. To me, I think there's probably a fair amount of that happening. But on the flip side, I would say that I do think, and this goes back to the interface, the new interfaces we need to think about is, yes, we should be thinking about how do we delegate work to agents asynchronously so work can go and get done in parallel while humans are doing other things and multiple agents or maybe even working on the same problem. And then bringing it back to the human to adjudicate and merge and kind of, keep that human in the loop, probably to create some of the output. I do think that is a new paradigm. I think it's going to come to development first, as in, hey, agents are going to pick up a couple of PRs from GitHub, do the first round work, ask the human for the review, as opposed to the reverse, where maybe a human's doing the first round of review, can get a code review from an agent. I think that you're probably going to see that first in the developer tool set, but I think it's going to come everywhere, as in you can have agents that you delegate work to, tasks, and you don't need 100% completion. Hey, if you could get 60%, 80% of the way there. So I think that is a future. I think it probably gets built out over multiple years. I don't think it's just going to show up, because I don't think we probably don't really understand how to build these agents well. Right. What problems are they ideal for?
I think we need a basic definition of what an agent is here.
That's a great question. So I'll give you mine. Okay. And again, I don't have to worry about people calling in, but I look at...
I feel like every time Matt says that, it's a dig.
Yeah.
Apparently we're supposed to have callers.
One's calling into your show.
Right. If no one's listening, it doesn't matter. No, but... to me, my favorite definition of an agent is, something that has access to tools like an internet search and can kind of plan and make decisions in a loop. And it's in the loop, to me, the part where, it is working on a problem, but it has the ability to select the tools to use or not use, and it has the ability to take the output of the tools and to make new decisions. And so it's a really dynamic process.
Can I maybe give you an example that may or may not help us see the distinction? I remember with Photoshop, if you needed to do one thing to 500 images, you could set up this pathway for Photoshop to go, do this one thing, resize these 500 images, and it could just go. So you wouldn't have to individually open and close and resize, open and close, resize.
Yeah.
Or open, resize, close. What would an agent do differently in that scenario that Photoshop didn't solve 10, 15 years ago?
So that's a really good example, because to me, that's an example that is, you just said it, there's a discrete workflow. It's do steps A, B, and C, and D. There's no decisioning. There's nothing where you need to say, take this information and make a decision on what the next best step is. You just itemized it. You do A, then B, then C, then open the next file and do A and B and C. So that what you described to me is not that would not be an agent. That's just a sequence of tasks.
So would if the example was, I want you to crop the picture right below the eyes, and it's 500 images, would the agent be useful there? Because it would have to determine where the eyes are to make that call?
I would say, if I could build on your example, I would say something that would be crop the photos to make them the most aesthetically appealing. How about that?
Oh, so it's that.
So it's that, like, what is aesthetically appealing? I don't know. Like that is, but your eye example is still, to me, is discreet, because open a photo, find the eyes, crop to the eyes. Like, you're still, as opposed to, here's a bunch of images, go and figure out how aesthetically pleasing they are, and crop them to a way that makes them more aesthetically pleasing.
It's almost giving creative freedom to.
I was going to say, it's a lot of subjectivity. Who's defining what aesthetically pleasing is? Are we leaving that to the agent?
It's in the eye of the beholder, which is the agent.
Yeah.
Yeah, is the agent the beholder?
I guess you would give it a prompt. Maybe you would probably define what aesthetically pleasing could be.
Or you could have a tool that would say, here's a
Here are
mechanism
examples.
you could say, here's examples, or you could say, here's something that will evaluate an image and tell you, how pleasing it is in their mind. Yeah.
Can we now go to a little bit more of a administrative, operational sort of workflow? I want to be able to give organizations a good understanding so that they can start to educate themselves on snake oil sales versus real application.
Can you not point to me when you say snake oil sales, please?
Hey, your term. So where do agents fit right now for any business? I don't care what industry you are in. We all have the same universal ways of working, so I'm sure we can find an example in there. But where is the agentic workflow over-engineered versus, now that seems to make a whole lot of sense and everybody can understand it?
You mean examples that you would see, or?
Yeah, when do you use it as a business?
Okay.
Is there a rule of thumb? Can you provide a working example that if everyone has this in their brain, they can bounce it off of, they can bounce that thing off of that example we just gave them to go, oh, I don't think we should use agents for that.
Well, okay. So on that way, to me, the line is, we should, if you're thinking like, is there a way you can think of to eliminate agents from the solution? I would actually say, if you can sit down and sequence out
every single task,
every single step, then I would say I would at least question you using an agent. Because if you can tell me that you want to do step A and then B and then C and then D,
yeah,
and if an agent goes from step A to step D, that's not correct, then I would say that why would you use an agent?
Could the development or the use of the agent be simpler than creating the deterministic task, though?
And I think that you could be onto something there. I'm certain there's cases where that is the situation, and I think there you're going to need to balance it against the maintaining and supporting something. Like, you have a process that 4 steps have to happen in sequence. What happens when they don't? Like, how are you going to force this agent next time? Like, what are you going to do? You're going to have a broken system. And so I think you just got to weigh, how do you support and maintain this thing versus maybe you have something that's a little bit, I would say less code, more dynamic, more buzzwordy for sure. But I would at least challenge anything that you can sit down and draw a sequence diagram for. I would say, okay, well, why would you bring agents into the mix? And I would say that that's not saying I wouldn't bring a language model into the mix, or, it's not to eliminate Gen AI in total. It's more that this dynamic orchestration of the process. That's the part that I would call into questions. I think actually one of the things I think is most exciting right now is, if you think of any enterprise, basically any size business, the concept of having a discrete workflow, a back office workflow, and I'll give you an example, where now we have the power of a language model that can help with automation. And my example is this: you have you send out emails to so free text emails to a supplier of products, and you confirm on a ship date. This would be like a manufacturing scenario. So you send out an email to say, when is my ship date? And you get a free text answer back that says the ship date is now this. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, before 3 years ago, it wouldn't be impossible, but you would be building a specific model that would understand how do we pull dates, or maybe you have some regexes. You would have a system, you could build it, but it would take some engineering to build. And now you can replace that bit of logic of understanding that email, parsing out the date, and you can replace that with a single language model call that can say, hey, here's my prompt, here's what I'm expecting. If you don't know the answer, go ahead and send it to a human, but here's what I'm expecting, parse this out. Like, I think that core building block is going to enable a lot of automation in the enterprise. That one simple thing, not agents, but just a language model tying some of these workflows together, where we usually bring in a human to say, hey, can you read this email? Or, I think there's a lot of power in that.
Now, is not going agent because it's cheaper and easier to maintain the language model than it would be to...
Well, I think it would be that mismatch between, I don't think you'd need an agent to read an email. A better selection would be, hey, that's really just a prompt and a single call to a language model. There is no real decisioning and iteration. There's no tool use.
Yeah.
So I would just say you could maybe have a little bit simpler approach to get the desired results. Have it be a little more deterministic. Yeah.
Who's making that call? What role is responsible for saying it's going to be simpler to go language model than agents?
Building it? Yeah, that's a really good. I mean, I imagine. I think they're starting to come out, which is, when I was, in my computer science developer mode of my career, maybe 20 years ago, there was this famous book called The Gang of Four, and it was these design patterns, enterprise design patterns. Pretty much, the thinking was, every bit of software you build, if you don't realize it, you're falling into one of these 30 patterns.
Right.
And it just helps you if you identify those patterns and build it explicitly, then you can communicate better to your team, and then you can follow some of the best practices. I think in the agent building mode, I think we'll have the same kind of patterns, or I won't say blueprints or recipes, but hey, there's pretty much 5 core ways agents you could build an agent. Here are some of the trade-offs. Here's what you need to look at. Here's some of the complexity metrics. And I know I say 5. I think somebody would say, well, there's actually 8. The thing is I think that's going to get sorted out. And
so it hasn't yet. There is no one book you can go buy and read.
That's going to write that book.
Apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah, and to the point of things constantly changing, I think that'll be evolving. But I think it'll settle, like, hey, here are the best practices for building an agent. Here's how you can look at, what kind of problems they're really well suited to solve. Here's some of the trade-offs. You're getting some complexity. You better be getting something on the other side. What are you getting? What are you trading? So you can make those decisions.
What's next?
Well, I want to know beyond 2026, but you might say we're not allowed to.
No, let's go.
Okay. Okay. So I know we played a game with you the last time, and we love playing our games. This is maybe more so out of genuine curiosity, not necessarily a game. I want to know, in Matt's world, is this going to happen in the next year, 3 years? We'll never see it in our lifetime. Is there a world in which we can create a solution that will read your inbox on a daily basis? It will serve up to you. This thing will serve up to you. Here are all of the emails that you really need to reply to right now. And oh, by the way, I know you so well. I've gone ahead
and bought your wife an anniversary card.
I've taken a stab. Just proof it, and then you can hit the one button send, and they'll all fire off. Is that now? Is that a year from now? Is that?
Yeah, I would say that the technology for that is now. And will that get built? Yeah, probably in the next, couple of years that you'll have, and it's funny to think about because it's like, so, I think there's a lot of memes out there already on this, but like you kind of degrade to this, especially through email. the AI talking to each other is basically
Yeah.
what that is,
Yeah.
right? But I mean, that type of stuff, I think it will be definitely on the near term horizon, where you get in and every email in your inbox has already drafted a response for you, and you can approve at it, and it's in your voice based on your historical conversations.
I just want to your point about AI talking to AI, because at some point it doesn't need to be in your voice anymore, because the AI will be smart enough to know it's talking to another system or itself in another person's environment, and they can just go beep boop, and you don't need to be a part of this conversation.
But then at what point do we say, can we just get rid of email?
Well, I think, sure, but I think beyond email, there is this world where it's almost like we will get to a point where
we've phased ourselves out.
The beauty of these LLMs is that it's natural language, but at some point, if it's just a model talking to a model, doesn't need to ever be in natural language. It needs to be for us. Hey, sir, here's what we did for you today.
Well, now you're saying though that humans don't still need to be in the loop and make the final determination on whether or not you want to send an email in that form.
We will get there.
Then that's the next question. Are we going to get to, in the next 1, 3, 5, never years, what Arash is saying, where we don't need humans in the loop?
So, I mean, interesting question. I would say, and maybe to loop it back to the self-driving car example too, like there's amazing backwards compatibility right now, in that Jen can have her AI assistant help her draft emails, and she can send 10 of those out, and 3 of those could be read by humans and responded by humans, and the others could be maybe handled exclusively by AI, and all that can come back to Jen. So there's this great, right now there's this, you have this backwards compatibility where humans can communicate with AI and AI can communicate with humans through natural language. And that's really powerful. Technically it'd absolutely be possible to have the systems, communicating at lower levels. But then you're going to take humans out of the loop and leave them out of the loop. And my analogy to the self-driving car would be, it will be amazing when cars stop having steering wheels, because now it's not backwards compatible. Now you don't, there is, how do you handle that mode of getting humans back in the loop? And the reverse too, of I look at, my kids, and, for a time I was wondering, is this like the last generation that learns how to drive a car? Because they're just, it's not going to be, they'll have steering wheels, maybe not, but you're not going to be operating them. It'll be this relic. It'll be like, the phone that we all laugh at, that's, still in the hotel room or something. It's just, it's just dating of times past. So I don't know, but the part I do want to say is there's been a lot of speculation going even bigger on AGI, artificial general intelligence, which, Hinton is, a lot of people are terrified of it, excited for it. But that's the one where it's like, hey, okay, if AI can do every task a human can do better than a human, then what are humans around for? And, they did a survey of, some of these folks that are well-versed in the field. And I think most people feel like it was 25, 30 years off ahead of us where we're at right now. My only, and I'm not, you should listen to what those guys say on that. But I would say my view on it is that I don't believe that the transformer architecture and ChatGPT is going to graduate into AGI. The whole notion of training on the internet and training, having had to build these algorithms or these models through training data, to me, at least how it's constructed today, I think, and I actually think we're already there. I think you're seeing us as asymptote in what these models can do. They can do a heck of a lot, and it'll take us a long time to get all the productivity out of them. But I don't think this is the generation of AI that's going to take us to AGI. And I'll only say that also, if you go back in time, AI used to be, rules. like expert systems
Right.
and handcrafted rules like that. And people thought that could really be amazing, you know, and it was amazing. It did some amazing things, but like that's how we used to think of AI, as expert systems. And then I think it kind of graduated into like search. You know, search is, if you can answer these questions and these search queries, that's really amazing. So that used to be, and now we're in this new cutting edge of what AI is. But there's going to be more generations after this that will have other capabilities. I don't think this generation is getting us to AGI.
So we'll be dead.
If I were to bet, I like how Jen brought up the betting, because I do like to bet. I would bet that no, it's not in our generation. I would bet it's not in my lifetime that we see AGI.
And you think that because of the hardware?
I just think the general approach of, actually, it's not the hardware, it's the data. I think the methodology of all these models are based on learning from data and data alone. That to me, and I'll put it the difference being of how humans learn.
Yeah.
You know, we don't need the internet's worth of data to learn how to write an email. And I'm not saying it takes necessarily an internet's worth of data, but I'll put it differently. Like a human learns how to drive a car in like 20 hours of training. 16, I think, is what my
20
son
to 30 in the last
30.
episode, which still
Okay.
terrifies me.
Drive a car safely or just drive a car?
Just drive, I
Right.
think.
Yeah.
Okay.
But again, you know, to build an algorithm to do it, it's obviously millions an hour. So I do feel like there's something there that is just limiting, as opposed to something structurally like how our brains are wired, where we don't require the same repetition to learn. Us as humans, or natural intelligence.
So where are we going to be? Like, what's your prediction? What are you betting on to be the next greatest advancement in AI?
While we're still alive. Can that be our...
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, right now, I guess I do think the getting agents built, and it's not just the agent, but everything on top of it, as far as the new UI paradigms, the new work roles, the new, like there's all, it's not just the technology piece. I think the technology will actually be there before everything else is. You know, how do you manage it? What's that control plane? How does work change when you have task delegation? You know, I just think that that to me is probably the thing that you can feel that it's going to be there. We can do that future, like technology wise, we can get to that future. Can we do all the other stuff around it to make it?
The business and the human transformation that needs to occur.
Yeah.
So you're placing the bet that the people and businesses will have more transformation, and that's what will be the impressive part. It's not so much any new major advancements in technology.
Yeah, I think that, I think you could say if everyone from, say, OpenAI just went home, they just shut it down, and they kept their models as is, the hardware so we could inference, I think that's all we need to build this future of agents doing real work and real value. And then, the second order stuff is how do organizations change around that. Gosh, that seems like now that's the big problem, right?
Yep.
It's not the technology.
Yeah. Now, what about security? How paranoid do we need to be in this age of AI? Are we getting attacked more regularly because of AI? Have the bots increased? Like, what's your understanding?
Yeah, I mean, my understanding would be that just as this is a powerful tool for us to do things, it's a powerful tool for bad actors to do more things better as well. So it is that arms race with most technology. There's going to be this imbalance that we'll have to work through. So yeah, I mean, it is. I would say that the bad actors are very happy right now. They got a new tool in their tool set, just like we have a new tool, but they got this new tool.
Right.
And they're going to be, I mean, how many you see a lot less misspellings in those, in the spam.
My favorite side note about the misspellings in spam is that it's purposeful. and that they know if the person responds to the misspelled, grammatically incorrect email, they're more likely to be tricked into sending money.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
You know, what's interesting is they had this, the Turing test.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so they were testing they were using a language model to test a Turing test, and then the question was, the human asked this question. I think this is pretty funny. They asked, like, it was, what's the capital of Ethiopia? Okay.
Is it Eritrea?
And that's the thing.
Okay.
If you got the right answer,
Yeah.
you know that that's not the human. So the test of intelligence was actually getting the wrong answer signified that I'm probably talking to a human. If you know that,
They would. Yeah. I would,
humans don't know that.
I would never.
Isn't that funny?
It
Right?
would never trap me then, because That's amazing.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting, right?
Well, I think to that point, I mean, when I get my LLM outputs, I mean, I'm removing certain things from that output to make it sound more human. Like, I will make the sentence sound a little worse.
Yeah.
If I needed to.
I do too.
Yeah.
I do too.
Yeah.
That's why Tucker sent an email yesterday where I gave him a hard time because I'm terrible at spelling, but he had a grammar error and a spelling error. And it's like, I was like, Tucker.
Thanks for writing a real email.
You wrote this. I know this wasn't AI.
Yeah, there's definitely some ChatGPT fatigue. I hear a lot of complaints from different people across different organizations where everybody knows that you're writing. I think we talked about this the last time. So is 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, we just talked about agents writing your emails for you, and Arash wants the humans to be completely out of the loop. What can organizations do right now to get rid of the ChatGPT fatigue? Is there a better way to be leveraging these tools, so that we actually start reading emails again?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if we need to.
You're very focused on emails.
Because I freaking hate it.
Oh, you just don't check your box.
I know. Well, I will say I used to be a slave to my inbox. The
Yeah.
first thing I would do when I would wake up was I would grab my phone, turn off my alarm, and then go check my email.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, it was terrible. First thing that I would do before I went to bed, pick up my phone, make sure my alarm was set, check my email.
You're supposed to go to Instagram or TikTok before you go to sleep.
You know I don't social.
So that
No,
was-
email, I guess, was my social media. I wasn't clicking on spam to get my entertainment.
Yeah.
But I just believe it's such a productivity killer. So are Teams messages. It's a productivity killer. I get we need to communicate, but I think just as much as I want a flying car, you always hear me talk about that, and I know that we are ways off, I want to know what we can do now with the technology that we have in the next year to eliminate email, or at least eliminate the need to really be involved in your inbox. maybe take it down to like an hour a week.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I go back to something you said earlier there, which was, everybody, doing a ChatGPT kind of research, skimming it, and then sending it out as their work, and then putting the onus on the receiver of all that to go read through and review the work that the author, quote unquote, didn't actually read and review. So I kind of feel like we're probably in it right now, where there's this moment of time where, and I look at this similarly to like school, of like using it to cheat on your homework. To do your homework, that'll get you the grade today, and you'll be paying that back next year, and the year it's going to count. Your losses will actually be compounding, right?
Yeah.
So I kind of feel it's the same thing in the work setting, where you still need to think critically and understand the concepts. I think you can probably get away in the short term with turning your inbox over to ChatGPT and unplugging from these conversations, but then you don't really understand what's going on in your organization. You don't really understand the decisions. You haven't formed an opinion. You haven't thought about something.
Yeah.
So I do feel like it's kind of a short, we're probably in this weird period where people are super productive. The appearance is super productive in the short term, but that's going to compound the losses in the long term because they're not using their brain to be involved.
And I've been very terrified of the loss of critical thinking. We've had articles come out around that, but I think to your point, as much as we want to put some of the burden or a lot of the burden for these manual tasks, because checking email is manual, checking Teams is manual. How do you get your information? How do you then get all of the right information to make a decision if you need to, or to take a stance on something? So there's the first, second, and third order thinking that does need to take place to say, if I am to automate this, what happens? What am I going to lose? What am I going to gain? And then you kind of have to weigh the pros and cons.
Right. And to me, that's a very different scenario than I was saying, like reading the emails and pulling out dates. Like that's not a thinking task for a human.
Right.
Right. We can pattern match that really quickly and do it. Well, that's great. Like we need to AI the crap out of those scenarios because that's just going to be efficiencies. But like thinking critically about real business problems, that's something I think humans need to obviously still
have
be
to
in control
do.
of. Yeah.
Now, going back to creating these efficiencies, leveraging ChatGPT, Copilot, creating the agents. It's very simple to create your own agents now, apparently. Haven't tried it. I know we have experimented, and we have a couple of agents that are running and doing some easy things for us, not the hard thinking tasks. Are we going to see these types of things evolve as products? And now we're going to see, I'm coming back to you, the snake oil salesman going, I've got the agent that reads your email and responds for you. And it's a product. So they've productized it.
Yeah.
How do organizations know when to buy the product, air quotes, product, versus I could probably create that myself in less than a day, and it'll be more tailored to my business? How do we navigate that? And is that a problem now? Is this a this year problem, a next year problem?
Yeah, I mean, I think that your first question of will you see agents as products? I think so. I mean, I think that that's
feels like where we're heading.
Yeah, and it'll be so absolutely. I think you'll see agents as products, which is interesting to think about where that'll show up first and what some of the use cases are. How to evaluate, the snake oil versus not. I mean, I don't think there's a silver bullet for that. I think right now I would assume a lot of it.
Sell that product. I'll tell you which products are real and which ones are fake.
yeah. But I think that's something that's probably right now. There's probably a lot of the snake oil out there. I would just assume that. I'd be very skeptical right now, except for some of the agents that would come from some of the big brand names. I think then you would want to maybe take a second look at.
What is Matt's big hope for 2026? Everything that you've been through this year, what do you want for your 2026?
And I think we presumed we didn't actually say you're past cancer. Like it's sorry.
No, that's a good question. I made that assumption.
Yeah. Yes. I don't know. I don't think I can say like I'm cancer free. I don't think I can say that. Like that would be right now there's no known cancer in my body. Right. I think I can say that from all the testing from, MRIs and blood tests and pathology and everything. But I'm still in like the the critical area. Yeah. So I'll get MRIs every 3 months and blood tests every 3 months. And then the longer I go without any findings, then we'll be more confident. I think it might be like a 10-year kind of a thing. Right. If you nothing is found after 10 years, and it's like, okay.
And that's every 3 months, MRIs for 10 years?
It tapers. So I'll do, for the first year, I think I'll do MRIs every 3 months. And then there's a blood test, and it's just for my type of cancer. But there's a blood test that checks to see if they find my type of cancer in my blood. And that's like a leading indicator of it moving around my body. Okay. So I'll do that every 3 months, and then I think next year it'll go back to 6 months, and then I think, as I understand it, I think when you reach like the 10-year period, then I think that's the point where it's like you're as likely as anyone else who's never had cancer to have.
Okay.
Right. So I think that's kind of the data behind something like that.
Okay.
But I just look at it as like, I'm not out of the woods, I feel like, right? Because I'm still more likely than someone else at this point to have a recurrence. So I hope I don't.
Okay.
Yeah.
Back to Jen's.
Does that change what you want for you and your family in 2026? Like, what's your perspective?
I would say so for like me and my family, I would say, probably enjoy doing things more now, like experiences, like trying to go, like I said, we're going to Fargo this Friday for my son and I are to watch a couple football games. Spend time with, friends and family. Definitely that it's hard for that not to be higher because you realize, like I'm not going to lie, like last January, it's hard to get a lot of sleep when you don't really understand how sick am I, right?
Yeah.
Like, is this one that ends, terminally? I like how quick, I don't know. So not having to think about that every night. You realize maybe having that perspective on life that is we're not all around forever, is something you want to think about and make some, I won't say make some changes, but just enjoy things. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that's what I want to do next year. Yeah. I mean, I like,
can you get an agent to do that for you?
Yeah, that's a good idea. Go have fun. I don't want to offload that task. I'm not going to delegate that one. Yeah.
What's 2026 for NLP Logix?
Well, I mean, my macro view is that, like I just said, and maybe I'm wrong with exactly how that works as far as like this new interface for every application, but I still for the most part see that almost all the software we use in the world today was created before the last 2 years, right? So it's all going to have that current Copilot experience where I'm in Outlook and this little clippy comes in and says, hey, I can do some cool stuff. Yeah. Like we're in that world today, and all that software was created in a world where software was harder to create than it is today. So now we got two things going on, which is we can create more software faster using AI tools.
Right.
And then pretty much every piece of software in the world, I think, gets re-engineered in the next, 10 years. So I think as far as that relates back to Logix, I look at that and I say, that's a massive opportunity for us to be part of. And we should be a big part of it because, we're an AI native company. We were making AI for over a decade. And now we're in this world where you don't always have to make it, you can take it. And let's build solutions in both those paradigms where we can make it, absolutely. Okay, how do we take it, construct solutions around, existing models and try to get to market faster, add value faster, make it less expensive for our customers. So I see just a lot of opportunity. And obviously, I think our company is, we're well positioned because of our track record and our heritage.
We've got 14 years under our belt now. And do you feel we are going to spend just as much time building these solutions, whether we're making the AI or taking the AI or shaping the AI, just as much as we're building, we're educating? Are we getting more into the business of being the trusted advisor and Sherpa in this world?
I think so, because I think one is that's at least in the short term, which I think, next year, 2, 3, I think that's what organizations need. You're going to have enterprises that are not AI native. They've got these awesome tools at their desktop, but how do you connect that with the business process? How do you get your users using them and effectively? Right. And I think we're well positioned to help. And to me, that fits nicely with kind of our mission as a company. It's not, we're not just builders. We want to enable all of our customers to get the most out of their AI investment. If that means building something bespoke and custom from scratch, yes, we want to do that. But it also means, hey, how do we educate and train and get everyone in the organization using AI as part of their as part of their daily, work activities. And I think, I just think there's lots of opportunity there. So definitely want to be a part of that.
Yeah, for sure. Very cool. Well, I got a lot of questions answered. How about you, Arash?
Yeah, I got one or two.
Just one or two.
No, it was great. It was a great conversation.
Well, Matt, thank you for, actually, can we say closing our season?
Yeah.
Our 2025 season 1.
You may not know, we are the #1 podcast
All right,
show
so.
in our genre.
Now, it's okay to ask what genre
Yeah, what
that
is it?
Yeah, we don't even know.
We haven't figured that out yet, Matt. But wherever it is, #1.
But I would say, if I can, this is going to be a big step for me. I already have anxiety. If we could ask our viewers to like and subscribe.
Oh my gosh. That's a first for us.
It is. It is. And there's apparently in these social media apps, you can make comments. And according to our producer, Ashish, he said it's almost impossible to get comments. So I just say to our listeners,
comments. It helps us.
Yeah. Give us feedback. Tell us the questions you have.
We don't want feedback. Just tell us.
Arash doesn't want feedback. He doesn't believe in continuous improvement.
Can we get bots to leave the comments for us, please? Russian bots.
All right. Well, Ashish, there you go. I said like and subscribe. We are on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok, thanks to Mr. Ashish.
Yeah, that's awesome.
All right, Arash. Thanks for season 1.
Yeah, you too. High five. Done.